Good morning, dear students. In yesterday's class, I have told you half of the plot of this drama until the fourth revelation of the past. And we have seen how Oedipus is getting upset, is getting restless to find out the truth once the revelations are being made to him by Jocasta, by Tiresias. So he is in pursuit of truth to know what exactly had happened. Who is he? Was he the real murderer of King Laius? He wants to pursue them at any cost. So the pursuit of truth continues. Yesterday, in the last class, we have seen till the point where on King Oedipus's request, Jocasta sends for that Theban shepherd who had escaped during the murder of King Laius. In the meantime, a Corinthian shepherd comes. He has come to Thebes from Corinth in order to meet Oedipus. What is the reason for this meeting? He has come with the news that Polybus, the king of Corinth, is dead, and now the empire is kingless. It has no king to rule. So now, naturally, Oedipus, who was the foster child of and the only child of Polybus, was supposed to rule the kingdom in Corinth, and therefore a Corinthian shepherd had come seeking Oedipus in Thebes. He comes and gives the news of Polybus's death to Oedipus, and he has come into the court where Jocasta and Oedipus and Chorus, these three characters are present, and the Corinthian shepherd gives the message that Corinth needs King Oedipus because it is having no ruler now, and Oedipus being the foster son to Polybus, he is supposed to be the next king. So he is needed not in Thebes but in Corinth, says the Corinthian shepherd. When this news reaches Oedipus, Jocasta is happy because she had believed that the prophecies are all false. Now Polybus, who was the father of Oedipus, foster father, and for the world he is the father of Oedipus, right? And Oedipus himself believes that Polybus is his father. So with this news, Jocasta feels happy, feels relieved, because there was no possibility of Oedipus murdering his father, because Polybus is dead when Oedipus is here in Thebes. So the possibility of parricide is ruled out by Jocasta, who says prophecies have been always wrong. Even Oedipus, the king, is relieved a bit because he too believed that he is the son of Polybus, and now Polybus is dead, but he is afraid of the other part of the sin, that is incest. He is still afraid that he will go and marry Merope, he believes that Merope is his mother, and this possibility is not yet ruled out. When Jocasta and Oedipus are discussing on this possibility, the Corinthian shepherd comes out with one more revelation. So already when he says, okay, so here is the fifth revelation made by Corinthian shepherd. He says, in that case, Oedipus need not worry because Merope is not his biological mother, neither Polybus was his biological father. Upon hearing this, Oedipus is confused, and he remembers an incident which had happened in a bar where a drunkard had spoken that Oedipus is not the real son of Polybus and Merope. Now the king wants to know further how he came to be raised by Polybus and Merope. So he wants to know further from the Corinthian shepherd, who says that Polybus and Merope are not his biological parents. Now, after king asks Corinthian shepherd, how come is it that he is not the son of Polybus and Merope? Here comes the sixth revelation from that same Corinthian shepherd. He says that he had got Oedipus as a gift from another shepherd from Thebes when he was a baby. So this is very much surprising, and this almost goes to the root of the story, which is almost nearing to the episode of Laius and Jocasta casting away Oedipus from their home. He says, the Corinthian shepherd says that he had got Oedipus from a Theban shepherd at the Mount Cithaeron as a gift, and that since Polybus and Merope did not have any child, Corinthian shepherd preferred to give the child to the king and queen to take care of. Further, he goes on giving more revelations so that the king believes him. The king wants to know how come Oedipus was given as a gift by a Theban shepherd. Then the Corinthian shepherd reminds Oedipus about the pain in his ankles, and looking at the ankles of Oedipus, Jocasta almost comes to know the real truth. What Corinthian shepherd says, as a baby, Oedipus's ankles were fettered as a child, and he was given as a gift from a Theban shepherd. And now king wants to know who that Theban shepherd was. Corinthian replies that the Theban shepherd belonged to Laius. So almost 90% of the story in the past is uncovered here, and all these dialogues are taking place in front of Jocasta as well. Now Jocasta is terribly afraid because she has already come to know the truth, and she seems that there is a danger in this revelation. Corinthian shepherd tells Oedipus that a man who belonged to Laius handed over the child to him. Now Jocasta is restless. She requests her husband, King Oedipus, not to pursue further because it will lead to tragic incidents later. But Oedipus is fearless. He wants to know the truth of his birth, the truth of his exchange with, his exchange as a baby from a Theban shepherd to the Corinthian shepherd. He wants to know who his real parents are. So he wants to pursue the truth at any cost. And now he sends for the Theban shepherd who would give. He has already sent for the Theban shepherd long back, and now that Theban shepherd comes to the court of King Oedipus, and at this moment the drama reaches its climax. when there is a dialogue between the king, the Theban shepherd, the Corinthian shepherd, the last revelation comes to the point here. It is opened up, and already Jocasta, who has understood that Oedipus is her own son, she remembers how, along with her husband, she had fettered the child and handed over the baby Oedipus to a Theban shepherd to be killed on Mount Cithaeron. But unfortunately, the baby was not killed. It was given to another kingdom, and it all led to these consequences. So ultimately, Jocasta understands that prophecies do come true, and her belief in the falsehood of prophecies is shattered completely. She understands that it is a horrible truth. It is a horrible life that she is leading, that she is married to her own son is a traumatic revelation to her, and she goes inside the palace. She is in deep agony, and in this scene she just disappears from the court. Now the discussion, the talk goes on among the three, the king Oedipus, then Corinthian shepherd and the Theban shepherd. And at this point, Theban shepherd arrives. He knows who is Oedipus, because he was the one who had handed over him as a baby to the Corinthian shepherd. He was the same person who had escaped from the scene of Laius' murder. So he knows everything. But now, afraid of the king, he is little hesitant to say what the truth is all. He knows everything, but he avoids telling the truth. Oedipus is angry, he is infuriated at this attitude of the Theban shepherd. The Theban shepherd finally has to budge at the request of the king. Oedipus forces him to tell the truth, and ultimately the final revelation of all the incidents in the past is up in the open. Theban shepherd says, who was that baby? It was none other than Oedipus himself. Who was the murderer of Laius, whom the Theban shepherd had seen? It was none other than Oedipus himself. So now at this moment the drama is at the peak, that is at the point of climax, and here it is a horrible realization of the truth for Oedipus. Oedipus comes to know the severity of the crimes which he has done unknowingly, and unfortunately because of fate he is deeply moved into trauma. He doesn't know what to do now. He knows that he has committed parricide, that he has killed his own father and has married his own mother. The truth comes hard to him, and he is not able to do anything. He is shocked. He is into trauma, he is into agony. And now what happens? Even the chorus is a witness to all these revelations. The chorus also feels bad, feels pity for this unfortunate king who was so strong, so good, so responsible as a king, but how fate played its horrible role in his life. From this point onwards, the drama moves into the fall of action, that is anticlimax. Slowly it has reached the peak. Now it is the fall of action. After this point, Oedipus is no more the most important character in this drama. It is the chorus, the messengers, and other characters in the drama who become important. The chorus and the messengers think, they ponder over the pain or the horrible life of their king. They also feel pity. So these descriptions are there. And then after some time, the messenger comes onto the stage and he narrates what all happened in the palace after the revelation of all these secrets. He says how Yocasta, after coming to know the truth, she committed suicide, and the king, when he came to know about these truths, ran behind her and found her hanging from the ceiling, from the roof. He takes down her body on the ground and he takes golden brooches which were on her dress and takes them and blobs out his eyes, blinding himself. And later Oedipus once again comes back to the scene on the stage as a blind man now, and says that his mistakes, his crimes are now justified because he has blinded himself. Now, after looking, after seeing, after witnessing the most horrible truths ever that a man can see, his eyes cannot see anything anymore, because he has seen the ugliest of crime in his life, and he does not desire even to die. He feels that he is deserving to suffer henceforth because of his crimes that he has committed. And he has some dialogues with the chorus. And later Creon comes on the stage, and Oedipus has some requests for Creon, because now Oedipus has lost his power as a king, because what he had promised to the citizens of Thebes, that he will expel the murderer of Laius from the city of Thebes, and now he discovers that he himself is the murderer, so he has to dethrone himself from the post of the king, and now he has to be expelled from the empire. So he is shown to be extremely powerless at the end. He requests Creon to send him out of the empire, and at the same time he goes near his daughters whom he had begotten through his own mother Yocasta, and expresses pain for them, expresses how he has made their life also miserable, thereby expressing pain and pity for his own daughters as well as who are his sisters as well. And ultimately he requests Creon to take care of his daughters Antigone and Ismene, and he requests him to expel him out of the kingdom. So this is how in the fall of action we see the fall of Oedipus as a king, as a great king, from a great king to a blind unfortunate man. So throughout the play we see the dominance of fate, prophecies in the lives of humans. It shows the helpless situations of humans, that when fate takes charge of human life, humans, even if it is a worthy king like Oedipus, he cannot do anything to fight against his fate. Whatever is destined to happen will happen. This is how the tragedy of Oedipus the king ends. So the number of lines is somewhere around 1580 as per my version of the text. I have already shown you. I have taken the text which is published in Oxford World Classics, and this English translation is done by H.D.F. Kitto. So that is all about the plot of the drama. In the next class we will look at the characters, and then we'll discuss about the themes and other important elements of this drama. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.